Hey friends! My name is Desiree, aka Momma Friendly. Welcome to my channel. I post all sorts of stuff here, from cooking videos to planner videos, vlogs, hauls, homeschool videos with a Disney twist, a little bit of everything. So if any of these things sound like fun to you, I hope that you'll subscribe and join me on my YouTube adventure. This particular video is very special and very exciting for me because this is the second year in a row that I am hosting a Treats for My Sweets collab. So I hosted it for the first time last year. I'm gonna go ahead and post my contribution to that collab right here in the corner so you could check it out. But essentially, I just wanted to get some of my YouTube friends together and have us all share either a recipe or gift ideas for your significant other, maybe activities or crafts that you can do with the kiddos, pretty much anything Valentine's Day related. But if you know me, you know that I made a dessert. Now, I'm trying to gear my channel and my recipes more on the paleo side or the gluten-free and dairy-free side because I've been eating gluten and dairy-free exclusively for almost 7 years in a row now, and I still do some recipes on my channel that are just standard American diet because I was cooking a lot for my family and my family doesn't eat gluten and dairy free. But we've changed our living arrangement a little bit and now the majority of my household does eat gluten and dairy free. And so I don't have as many family members close by that I can just kind of pawn off these standard desserts to. So I figure if I'm not gonna eat them, I shouldn't keep them in the house. Let me just make more recipes for the channel that reflect how I actually eat. And that being said, this year I decided to make a paleo Valentine's Day themed dessert. So I am making salted caramel panna cotta with chocolate ganache and spiced candied pecans. I'm not gonna lie, it sounds intimidating. I was intimidated. I was looking at the recipe written out and I was like, there are so many components here and so many things that have to come together, and it's just like, it just seemed like a lot. But that was one of the reasons in particular that I wanted to make this recipe, is because I know that I do better following a recipe when I'm watching someone make it as opposed to just seeing it written out on paper. And actually in practice, it seems like a lot, but it was really, really simple and it ended up being delicious. So easy, super impressive, and yummy. Sounds like a win to me. Now remember I mentioned this is a collab, and what that means is that there's gonna be a playlist linked in the description box below. So once you're done watching my video, you can go into that playlist link and you can see what all of my friends made as treats for their sweets. So without any further ado, let me show you how I made these salted caramel panna cottas. Written out, this felt like an overwhelming amount of steps and ingredients, so I thought I'd break it down by component. So for the chocolate ganache, you need 2.5 ounces of unsweetened baking chocolate, 6 tablespoons of full-fat coconut milk, and 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. For the salted caramel, you need a 1/2 cup of coconut sugar, 1 tablespoon of water, a 1/2 teaspoon of fine sea salt, and a 1/4 cup of full-fat coconut milk. And for the panna cotta, we need a cup of almond milk, 2 1/4 teaspoons of unflavored gelatin, a cup of full-fat coconut milk, and 1/2 a vanilla bean halved lengthwise with the seeds scraped out. I'll have both the gelatin and the vanilla beans that I used linked down below. So to start, we're gonna chop our 2.5 ounces of unsweetened chocolate, and I'm going to put the chocolate, the coconut milk, and the maple syrup into a bowl that I've set up over a saucepan that's got some boiling water. So I'm basically creating a double boiler. I'm going to use this to melt the chocolate, coconut milk, and maple syrup together until the mixture is smooth. Then I want to divide this chocolate ganache evenly among 4 16-ounce glasses, and we're going to place them in the refrigerator to set while we make the caramel and the panna cotta. So while the chocolate is cooling in the fridge, we're going to make our salted caramel. In a small saucepan, I'm going to whisk together the 1/2 cup of coconut sugar, a tablespoon of water, and a 1/2 teaspoon of fine sea salt. We want to whisk this over medium-high heat and simmer it for 5 to 7 minutes until it turns a dark amber color. And it says you can use a candy thermometer. I was ready with one, but honestly, the mixture was so shallow that it just didn't work. So I had to go by color alone, and I wanted to make sure it didn't burn, so I probably pulled it at about 4 minutes. I removed it from the heat and immediately whisked in my 1/4 cup of full-fat coconut milk. Just as an FYI, because basically every step of this asks for full-fat coconut milk, when it was all said and done, I ended up using just under 2 whole cans worth. So if you're making your grocery list, that's what you need, is 2 cans of full-fat coconut milk for this entire recipe. We have the salted caramel set aside to cool, and in the meantime, we're gonna work on our panna cotta. So we're gonna take 1/2 cup of the almond milk and pour it into a bowl. We're gonna sprinkle our 2 1/4 teaspoons of gelatin over the top. Just let it sit for about 5 minutes so that it starts to bloom. In the meantime, you're gonna take the other 1/2 cup of almond milk and you're gonna mix it with coconut milk and your vanilla bean. You're gonna put it into a saucepan over medium-high heat until it's just barely simmering. I was really excited about this step because this is literally the very first time in my whole life that I've worked with actual vanilla bean pods. So I felt very professional. Not to say I knew what I was doing at all, but I definitely felt very like Top Chef in this moment. So like I mentioned earlier, I'm gonna have the exact ones that I purchased linked down below in case you've never worked with vanilla beans yourself and you're not sure where to get them. Very, very exciting moment for me though. Glad I got to have it on camera. It's been 5 minutes and you can see that our gelatin mixture has started to thicken up, so it's ready to go. And really the only reason that you're even heating the rest of it is just so that it's hot enough to dissolve that gelatin. So once it starts to barely simmer, just take it off the heat, take your gelatin and almond milk mixture and whisk it in. You want to make sure it's really, really well whisked because you want to make everything dissolve, make everything uniform. You don't want any clumps of gelatin left behind. Once you're sure that that's completely dissolved, take your cooled salted caramel and whisk that into your almond milk and gelatin. You now have the base for your panna cotta. Set it aside to cool for 10 minutes and then we're going to take our chocolate out of the fridge and get to work assembling. So our panna cotta mixture has been cooling for about 10 minutes. This is important because you don't want it to be boiling as it goes into the cold glass. Here's another thing. Presentation is key, obviously, especially if you're trying to make up a romantic dinner, serve this for your significant other. Do as I say, not as I do. I kind of went a little bit ham on these glasses. I should have taken my time, gone slowly. Honestly, I probably should have used smaller glasses. I used 16-ounce glasses because it's what the recipe called for, but I think smaller glasses would have made for a neater presentation and it would have made it much easier to actually serve everything. So I used a ladle to try to make it as evenly distributed as possible. Now we're going to put our glasses back in the refrigerator for 6 hours. So now that you have 6 hours on your hands, you have plenty of time and opportunity to make these spiced pecans for the top of the panna cotta. And this is extremely simple to make, almost dangerously simple because you could eat these right out of a bowl. It's a 1/4 cup of pecans coarsely chopped. As you can see, I just broke mine up with my hands. A tablespoon of pure maple syrup, a pinch of cayenne pepper, and a pinch of fine sea salt. Just gonna mix everything together. Put it on a prepared baking sheet. I like to put parchment paper down for easy cleanup. And you're just gonna bake these at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 minutes. That's it. Super, super simple. You wanna give them time to cool down completely because that's what's gonna make the maple syrup solidify and make it almost like a brittle. And you wanna crumble this on top of the panna cottas before serving. Really, really good. It added a whole different dimension of flavor, a nice contrast in texture, really delicious. I highly recommend this step. It's optional, but I can't imagine this panna cotta without it. All right, friends, there you have it. I'm telling you, this looks so impressive, but it was actually a lot easier than I realized it was going to be, and the result was absolutely delicious. I will say though, The 16-ounce glasses I think were a bit much. I think it would have been a lot neater and it would have been a lot easier to pour into a smaller glass. Maybe a 12-ounce, 10-ounce glass would have been more effective as far as like creating a nicer presentation. And I'm also gonna say, I'm not a huge chocolate dessert lover, so take this next bit with a grain of salt, but I think that it would have been just fine without the chocolate. The salted caramel panna cotta with those spiced pecans was so good all on its own that I had to really remind myself to dig to the bottom of the glass and grab the chocolate because I felt like it just wasn't even necessary. If you like chocolate, then by all means, because altogether it was like a whole other experience. But me personally, I think I could have done without the chocolate. Just throwing that out there. Like I said, do with that information what you will. Overall, I really loved the recipe. I will very likely be making it again, and I would love to know if you decide to make it as well. While you're here, let me know, what's your favorite Valentine's Day tradition? And is there anything special in particular you look forward to eating on Valentine's Day? Let me know. And before you go, make sure you check out that playlist so you can see what all my friends made as well. I want to thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. And if you did, I hope that you will please give it a big thumbs up. I'd also love it if you would subscribe and click that notification bell because I post at least 3 times a week and I wouldn't want you to miss a minute. Thanks so much again for watching. Bye.